Hello everyone, this is Arunima from Nitro, and in this video I'm going to talk about how to read Tunisian Mosaic Crochet charts and how to build a project from them.
So here is the chart that we're going to follow. I'm going to uh, create this pattern exactly the way it is, and I'm going to do the entire thing in this video and show you how to do it row by row. And I'm going to explain all the important things that you need to know to be able to read this. So let's start talking about the parts of this chart, the different cells that are there, the different symbols that are there. So here we have the row numbers. This starts with row 1. This bottom row is row 1, and the top row is row 17. So those are the row numbers, and here are the stitch numbers. So stitch number 1 to stitch 19. So this is a 19 stitch 17 row pattern. And you'd see that the row numbers are mentioned bottom to top, right to left. That's because that's how this chart is going to be read. You're going to start from the bottom, read your stitches from here, from the right to left, and then you're going to build this chart from bottom up. So this is for right-handed crocheters. If you're a left-handed crocheter, you can just go ahead and read the chart from this side. So you'd still do it bottom up, but you'd start reading it from this side, and it should not change anything. Your pattern should work out exactly the same way as this is. You just, instead of reading from here, you'd start reading it from this side. So, but it's always read bottom up. Uh, so those are the row numbers and stitch numbers. Then there is this here, which is black and white rows. So I added this here to indicate the color for each row. So all the white, all the rows represented by the white squares here are going to be made with the same color, and all the rows represented by the black squares here are going to be made with the same color. So at the beginning of the project, just pick a color for your whites and pick a color for your blacks. In this project, I'm going to use these two colors and I'm going to write them down here so I don't forget. So this one is, and this one is white. We can also use this part and attach a strand of yarn in case you forget, or if you don't want to write, just punch a hole here and attach a strand of yarn for each of these so you won't forget. So these are the colors I'm going to use. I just assigned them to the black and the white. So now I know that throughout my project, throughout the entire square, in this case, but in even if it's a larger mosaic pattern, you can just assign your colors in the beginning and then you won't change them throughout the project. So the next thing here is these cells that have the alphabet E in them. These represent edge stitches. So this entire column is a column of edge stitches. So this is the right edge and this is the left edge. So you have right edge stitches and left edge stitches. So your entire pattern or your entire project will be in between these two. So now let's talk about the two different kinds of cells that are here. So here you see this block here. There are blocks here which have nothing in them. They're blank blocks. They're blank squares. So those are the ones that are going to be simple stitches, Tunisian simple stitches. So any blank square is going to be a Tunisian simple stitch. And any square that has an X, so there are squares that have X's, those are going to be front post extended simple stitches. So there are only two stitches that we use in this pattern. So there's the simple stitches and extended simple stitches, front post extended simple stitches. And so the ones that are the squares that are blank represent simple stitches, and the squares that have X's represent front post extended simple stitches. So that's pretty much it about the symbols that are there in this pattern. You don't need to worry about the color here. I'm going to explain a little bit more when we start working on the stitch pattern. So there's one more thing I'd like to point out here is that uh, if you find any knitting or traditional mosaic crochet patterns that look like this, with or without the X's to represent the extended or the front post stitches, you could use it for you could use them for Tunisian mosaic crochet. Just have to make sure that each row represents one row in the project. I think overlay mosaic crochet patterns are like this. And even if you have, say, a knitting pattern which one row represents two rows in a project, if it looks like this on paper, you should be able to convert it to a Tunisian crochet project. I printed a smaller version of this chart just to be able to film this video easily. Otherwise, this entire sheet was taking up all of the screen space. So I'm going to create this exact pattern, and I'm going to start with the color white because that's what the first row is made of. So that's row number 1, that is the foundation row, and that's made with the color white. So I'm going to start with that. This is a slip knot, and then it is a 19 stitch pattern. That's the number of stitches over here. So that's 19 stitches. That's from edge 1 to edge 2, both from between the two edges. There's 19 stitches, including the edges. So I'm going to make 19 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And I'm going to make the foundation row stitches in the back bum. So here, there's two, so there's one loop on the hook that's counted as the first stitch, and then there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. So that is 19 loops on the hook because we started with 19 chain. That's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19. I'm now going to make the reverse pass by starting with the chain 1 and then yarn over, pull through 2 all the way to the beginning. Now I'm going to stop when there are 2 loops on the hook. If you look over here, my first row is made with this color and the second row I have to change color. So every alternate row is a different color. So if you see all odd rows, that's 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, and so on, they're all the same color. And all even rows, that's 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on, are all the same color. So I'm going to now change color and add the other one, which is this one. So here, just pull through. Just tighten this a tiny bit. And that's the end of row 1. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and mark my row 1 as complete. So I use a highlighter and I just mark that as done. There are multiple ways of dealing with this. I sometimes I just put a dot on the side and use a ruler to hide the rows above of what I'm working on, or I use a highlighter like this. Um, it completely depends on how you want to do it. There is no right or wrong way for it. So just choose whatever works for you and go with it. So there's one more thing I want to do before I move forward with this, and I want to write down um, make some notes for doing a visual inspection. So say after every 4 rows, I'm going to say visual inspection. So I'm just writing VI every fourth row. I do this because I have seen in the past that I get really into a pattern and I get carried away. I forget to look at how the pattern is looking after every little while. If I write this, it helps me uh, do a visual inspection. It forces me to do a visual inspection, and that's important because when you're working on the pattern, sometimes it's hard to see what's going on, and it's only after a few rows that you actually see the pattern develop. So if you do a visual inspection, say every 4 rows, then you will be able to see the pattern develop a little bit and you will be able to find mistakes early. And it's especially important for larger projects because for a small project like this, frogging 2 or 3 rows might not be a big deal, but if you are working on a larger project and you forget to inspect and you find a mistake 10 rows down, that might get a little frustrating. So just make sure that you actually mark some rows where you want to do a visual inspection so you don't forget. So now I'm going to go to row 2. So whatever row I've completed, I've marked it with the highlighter. So now I'm on row 2. So that's the one that's above that highlighted row. So we're working from right to left, bottom up. So right now, I just made this foundation row, and there was just a row of simple. There was no X's on that row, so I just made a foundation row, which is usually the case in all patterns. The setup row is always the foundation row, and usually the second row also will be a row of simple stitches. That's because there is no place to make a front post extended simple stitch. You at least need 2 rows. So you can go back 2 rows to make your front post extended simple stitch. So that's why your second row also, if you look at it, there are no X's in here. So that means there's no front post extended simple stitches to make. So it's going to be a row of simple stitches, but in this color. So here I'm going to make a row of simple stitches. And that's the end of the forward pass. So it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19 stitches. And this will remain constant throughout this project. So unless you're working on a mosaic project that has increases or decreases, the number of rows on your hook will always be the same at the end of the forward pass. So in this case, we started with 19, so we have 19 loops on our hook. Now making the reverse pass by chaining 1 and then yarn over, pull through 2 all the way to the beginning. And then I'm going to stop when there are 2 loops on the hook because going from row 2 to row 3, there's again a color change. So this happens after every row. So you'll get into the rhythm where you'll always stop at 2 loops and change your color here. Just wanted to point out that that's what you have to do at the end of every row. So I'm going to move my yarn on the side, pick up the previous color, and then yarn over, pull through and complete that for return pass. So that is how it's looking after 2 rows. I'm going to go ahead and highlight that row to mark it as complete. So that one is done. I'm going to start working on row 3. So this is the one where we need to start looking at our X's and blocks that have X's versus the ones that don't. So here, the first stitch for the third row, the first stitch is an edge stitch. For the third row, the second stitch is a front post extended simple stitch because that's what this means. So I'm going to go ahead and find the two vertical bars of the stitch 2 rows below, and then yarn over, pull through, and chain 1. That created my front post extended simple stitch. And then there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks which have no symbol. So they're blank boxes. But you see that the color is different. There are 4 white blocks and 1 gray block. You don't have to worry about what color these boxes are. You just have to look at whether there is an X in it or not. That's all you need to worry about. So the row that you're working on, just look at the symbols that are there. Don't worry about the colors because you're not changing color on any row. So just keep going. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 simple stitches. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's that done. And then the sixth one, after the 5, this one is again an extended front post simple stitch. So I'm going to make that in 2 rows below. And then 3 simple stitches. 1, 2, 3. That's 1, 2, 3, and then another front post front post extended simple stitch. That's a front post extended simple stitch. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 simple stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 1 front post extended simple stitch. So that's that. And then after this, there's the edge stitch here. So just make the edge stitch. So you see we didn't change color even though there were blocks of different color in this row. We didn't change color at all. We just looked at the symbols. If there was an X, we created a front post extended simple stitch. And if there was no X, then we created a simple stitch and just completed the row with this edge stitch. And I'm now going to make the return pass just like I normally would, which is chain 1 and then yarn over, pull through 2 all the way until the beginning. And then just stop here with this yarn over, interlocking the 2 strands of yarn at the back here, and then yarn over, pull through, and here. So that's how it's looking after 3 rows. I'm going to go ahead and mark this one as complete. Now onto the 4th row. So the 4th row is made with this color, and then we start with the edge stitch. Then there's 1 simple stitch, 1 front post extended simple stitch, and then there's simple stitches all the way till here, and the 17th one is again a front post extended simple stitch, then a simple stitch, and then an edge stitch completed with that. So since I have visual inspection written over here, I'm going to go ahead and look at my project so far, and it seems okay so far. I expect these lines here and at the front and end here. So I have these 4, and it seems okay so far. So I'm going to continue and make the 4th row. going to start with a simple stitch, and then a front post extended simple stitch, and then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 simple stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then a front post extended simple stitch, and another simple stitch, and an edge stitch. And now I'm going to yarn over, chain 1, and then yarn over, pull through 2 all the way to the beginning. Then I stop, and there's 2 loops remaining on the hook with my yarn, and complete. So that's the end of row 4. I'm going to go ahead and mark that as done. Now on to row 5. So for row 5, there's 1 front post extended simple stitch, 1 simple stitch, 1 front post extended simple stitch, and just I'm going to follow that pattern right as it is. So start with a front post extended simple stitch, and then 1 simple stitch, 1 front post extended simple stitch, and then 1, 2, 3 simple stitches, 1, 2, 3, and then 1 front post extended simple stitch, 3 simple stitches, and a front post extended simple stitch. So 3, then 1, and then we have 3 simple and then 1. So 3, and then 1, and then 1 more simple and 1 front post extended simple. 1 simple, 1 simple, and then we end it with an edge stitch right here. And now making the reverse pass, that's chain 1, then yarn over, pull through 2 all the way to the beginning. Now we stop at 2 loops on the hook, interlock these yarns in the back, and complete the forward pass. So that's the end of row 5, and that's how it's looking. Now on to row 6. So row 6 starts with a simple stitch, and then an extended front post simple, and then one simple, and then three front post extended simple stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, and then there's one simple stitch, 3, and then 1 and 3 more. So 1 simple, 3 front post extended simple. So that's 1, 2, 3, and then 1 and 3. 1, 2, 3. So after this, we've got 1 simple, 1 front post extended simple, and then 1 simple stitch. So 1, 1, and 1. And then we end it with an edge stitch and chain 1. And then yarn over, pull through 2 all the way to the beginning. And then stop when you have 2 loops on the hook, move that over, bring this forward, and that completes row 6. So just a quick note about how you can count rows in this. So it's very hard to count the numbers of rows in the front of the panel. So just turn it to the side and you can see your rows very clearly here because of the colors that we changed. So that's row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we are at the 7th row now. So if you ever forget to mark where you stopped, that's a very easy way of counting your rows. You could even turn this around and see that the clear started with white 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 6 rows are complete. So just wanted to point out how you could count rows in case you forgot where you were, and setting this down to mark my row 6 complete now. Now onto row 7. Row 7 starts with an edge stitch and then 1, 1, 1. That's how I like to do it actually. I go 1, 1, 1, 3, 1. That's what I memorize, and I work on that instead of looking at each block at a time, because I think with practice you just get used to reading the chart. So instead of remembering, instead of referring to the chart every single time after I make a stitch, I just memorize that's 1 and then 1, 1, and then 3, and then 1. So I'm going to do that. Start with a front post extended simple stitch. So that's 1, 1, 1, 3, 1. That just sped up the process for me, so I didn't have to refer to the chart after um, every time I changed, uh, every time I had to switch between the 2 different kinds of stitches. So I reached here. This is where I am. That's 1, 1, 1, 3, 1, and now I'll do 3, 1, 3, 1, 1, 1. So that's how I'm going to do it. So it's 3, 1, 3, 1, 1, and 1. And then we end it with an edge stitch. And complete the return pass with chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2, all the way to the beginning. Stop when there are 2 loops on the hook. Move this yarn here, pick this back hook up, and then yarn over, pull through 2. So we have completed row 7. So now, again, I've reached a row where I have visual inspection marked out. If I look at this and the rows that I have highlighted here, that they look about the same. So I don't spot any mistakes right now, but if there were one, I would have found it and it would have been easy to frog and fix at this point. So at any given time, you wouldn't have to frog more than 4 rows. You could add this note at whatever interval you like. I usually like to do it every 4 rows. So moving on to row 8 now. So row 8 starts with it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 simple stitches, 3 front post extended simple stitches, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's 7, 3, 7. That one is an easy row. So start here with 7 simple stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 3 extended simple stitches. 1, 2, 3, and then remaining 7 simple stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then an edge stitch, last stitch here, and then yarn over, chain 1, and then yarn over, pull through 2, all the way till the beginning. And then here, interlock, and complete. So that's the end of row 8. You're starting to see a pattern build here, and you see how we didn't change color anywhere. And hey, I spotted a mistake. I spotted a mistake right here. You see, I hadn't spotted it at when I was doing my visual inspection, but over here, because this is a symmetric pattern, this and this side should have looked exactly the same, but I see that I missed a stitch here. So now that I've spotted this, I'm going to go back. I'm going to unravel these 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 3 rows, and it's here. So I'm going to unravel 3 rows and a bit of the 4th row. Fix this because this is a simple stitch here. It was supposed to be an extended simple stitch. So let's look at it. That's row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Row 5. This is row 5. It had an extended front post simple stitch just before the edge stitch, and I missed that. And I'm going to complete, I'm going to make that and then I'm going to fix it and come back and show you the rest of it. So here I am. I just completed the eighth row again. I went back and I fixed that missing the wrong stitch there. So, well, that wasn't a part of the lesson plan. And well, that's a great way, I think, to show that no matter how careful you are, it is possible to make mistakes in this because as you're building the pattern, it's hard to see what's going on, but it's only after a few rows that you actually see the pattern develop. And it's extremely important to go back and check, visually inspect your project so that you don't have to frog too many rows. So I had to frog 3 rows to go back and fix my error, which wasn't too bad. So I am not too unhappy about it, but well, I guess that was a great way to demonstrate what could go wrong. I just completed row 8. I'm going to go ahead and mark that one as complete. We're almost halfway through this. Works up quite quickly, actually. I really like working on mosaic patterns because I don't really have to think much except for that visual inspection, which I should really do properly whenever I have them marked. But outside of that, it's fairly straightforward. You just have to focus on the X's, on which blocks have the X's and which don't. You don't have to worry about the color at the back or anything of that sort. So I am going to make the ninth row now, which starts with a front post extended simple stitch and then a simple stitch, front post extended simple stitch, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 simple stitches. So it's 1, 1, 1, and 11. That's how much I'm going to do first. So I'm going to start with the front post extended simple stitch. So as I explained in the earlier module, this first stitch is a little bit hard. It's a little inconvenient, that's all. I just have to use my nails to pull it out, the back vertical bar out, but outside of that, it's pretty much the same as making extended simple stitches, front post extended simple stitches in the rest of the row. So 1, 1, 1, and 11 simple stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then we have 1, 1, and 1. So that's 1, 1, and 1. And then we end it with an edge stitch. And then complete the reverse pass by chaining 1 and then yarn over pull through 2. And put this yarn over, bring this here, and that interlocks them in the back. So here you can see that they're nicely interlocked. Okay, so for this is the end of row 9, and I'm going to go ahead and mark that one as complete. Now on to the 10th one. So the 10th one is, it's the opposite of the previous one, which like it's 1, 1, 1, 11, but we start with a simple stitch. So simple, front post extended, simple, simple, and then 11 front post extended, simple. So I'm going to do that. That's 1, 1, 1, and we have 11 front post extended simple stitches in a row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So after that, there's 1, 1, 1. That's 1, 1, 1, and the edge stitch. Then yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over, pull through 2. And then put this here, pick this one, and complete. So that completes row 10 here, and I'm going to mark it as complete. Now onto row 11. So in row 11 is, I think it looks exactly the same as row 9. So it's 1, 1, 1. So one front post extended simple, one simple, one front post extended simple, and then 11 simple. And so yes, it is the exact same. So I'm going to start making that. So it's one front post extended simple stitch, one, one, and one, and then 11 simple stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then we end it with a 1, 1, 1. So that's 1, 1, and 1, and edge stitch, then chain 1, then yarn over, pull through 2, picking, and then put this on here, pull this here, and complete. So that's the end of row 11. I'm going to mark that as complete. Now, before we start row 12, I'm going to do a visual inspection. And I'm doing it carefully now, looking okay. Well, if there is something, I might spot it later, but as of now, it looks fine to me. So now row 12. So row 12 is, I have a feeling we've made a similar row before. I think row 8 was the same. On row 12, the visual inspection is done. So now here we are at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 simple stitches, 3 extended simple stitches, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 simple stitches. So 7, 3, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we end it with an extended. We end it with an edge stitch. And at this point, I'd like to show you that I have a lot of twists in my yarn because we're interlocking at the back and we're always going in the same direction. So this doesn't, so this just twists and twists. So what I like to do is, now that I have the forward pass done, I'm just going to do this and untwist my yarn. Do it a few times so that all of it gets untwisted. And that's done. And I just like to do it this way. It's just the easiest way for me to untwist my yarn rather than moving the yarn balls around. So here, I'm going to now move this out of the frame because I think we know what we're doing. So I'm just going to complete this row, taking too much space on the screen right now. So here, chain 1 and then yarn over, pull through 2 all the way to the beginning. And move this here. So that's how it looks after row 12, I think. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 12 rows complete. And I'm going to mark that as complete. Now on to row 13. So row 13 is 1, 1, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1. So I'm going to do 1, 1, 1, 3, 1, and then stop there. So 1, starting with extended front post extended simple stitches. So that's 1, 1, 1, 3, 1. So 1, 1, 1, and 3, and 1. And then this is a small pattern, so it's easy for me to remember that I stopped at this point here. But if this were a larger pattern, it would be hard for me to remember. So I'd either mark it with a pencil or use my highlighter to highlight all the stitches that I've already done, whatever, again, whatever works for you. But just letting you know that in a larger project, you will likely forget where you stopped while you're working on a chart. So just make sure that you mark where you were. So I'm here, I've done until here. So that's 3, 1, 3, 1, 1, 1. So I'm going to do that 3, 1, 3, 1, 1, 1. So it's 3, 1, 3, 1, 1, and 1. And end it with an edge stitch. And then chain 1 and yarn over, pull through 2 all the way. beginning. Move this here, this back here, and complete. So that's the end of row 13, and that's how it's looking. And I'm going to mark that one as complete. And then on to row 14 now, which is, it starts with a simple stitch. So 1, 1, 1, 3, 1. So I'm going to do the same thing. 1, 1, 1, 3, 1. Remember that. So 1, 1, 1, 3, and 1. So I'm here 1, 1, 1, 3, 1. So I'm here 1, 1, 1, 3, 1. Now 3, 1, 3, 1, 1, 1. So 3, 1, 3, 1, 1, 1. And here's the edge stitch. And yarn over chain 1, and then yarn over pull through 2 all the way to the beginning. And complete this row. So that's the end of row 14. I'm going to mark that as complete. On to row 15 now. We start with a front post extended simple stitch. So that's 1, 1, 1, 3, 1. Well, seems like the exact same as the previous row, but the stitches are flipped. So 1, 1, 1, 3, 1. Start with a front post extended simple stitch. 1, 1, 1, 3, 1. Okay, so we are here 1, 1, 1, 1, 3, 1, and then 3, 1, 3, 1, 1, 1. So 3, 1, 3, 1, 1, and 1. And then a edge stitch, then chain 1, and yarn over pull through 2 all the way to the beginning. And then move this yarn here, pick the other one, and complete. So that's the end of row 15. marking it as complete. 2 more rows to go. So we're at row 16 now, and I have a note for visual inspection here, and I'm comparing it with this. I think it looks okay. I don't think I've missed anything or messed up again. So I'm going to continue. So row 16 is we start with 1, and then we have 1 simple stitch and 1 front post extended simple stitch, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 1, 1, 13. Let's do that first. So here's 1 simple stitch. Oh, I split the yarn. 1 simple stitch, 1 front post extended simple stitch, and 13 simple stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And then so we just did complete it till here. And then now I'm going to make 1 front post extended simple stitch and 1 simple stitch. So 1 front post extended simple stitch and 1 simple stitch, and then end it with an edge stitch. So chain 1 and yarn over, pull through 2 all the way to the beginning. And then move this here, pull this, and complete. That's the end of row 16, looking like the pattern we were trying to create here. Marking row 16 is done. And there's row 17 now. So row 17 starts with a front post extended simple stitch, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 1, 5, 1. Let's do that. 1, 5, 1. 1 front post extended simple stitch and 5 simple stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's one thing that I forgot to mention in the beginning, which you already may know, but we always start with the stitch after we always start working on the stitch that is after the edge stitch, because on this side, and for left-handed people on this side, the first loop, the loop on the hook that after the completion of the reverse pass from the previous row, that counts as the first stitch for this row. This will be the edge stitch. So we're not really doing anything about these edge stitches here. Again, for left-handed people, you will have it on this side. So your loop on the hook at this side will be the one that would be the first stitch or the edge stitch on that side. And for right-handed people, it is this one right here. So I just wanted to point that out because I think I forgot to that out in the beginning. So we've not really looked at this edge stitch at all while working on this chart. So I'm going to, so I just thought I'd point that out now. So here is this, and now we said 1, 5, 1. 1 front post extended simple stitch, 5 simple stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 front post extended simple stitch. So that's 1, 5, 1, 1, 5, 1, and then 3, 1, 5, 1, 3, 1, 5, 1. That's 3, 1, 5, and 1. And then the edge stitch. And then chain 1, and yarn over, pull through 2, all the way to the beginning. And now this last row, we're going to complete it with the same color. We're not going to change color at this point because we're done with the chart. We're at the last row and we don't need to change color anymore. So we're going to complete this row and we're going to make the bind off row. So this is, if you see here, this looks like an incomplete row. So we're going to bind off and we're going to bind off with simple stitches. So we're going to insert our hook like we were going to make a simple stitch, yarn over, pull through, and then we're going to slip it. So this is a slip stitch bind off. We're going to do it across the row. And the edge stitch the same way. So this last, the bind off row is not mentioned in the pattern. And so you have to do it after you complete this row. There's no more rows above. So you complete your row with the same color. You don't have to change color at this point. And then you go ahead and make the bind off row with the same color and just make simple stitches and do a slip stitch bind off. So this is how it's looking. And here is the original chart. So this is what we have. We started with this chart and we got the exact same pattern out here, the pattern that is in between these two columns of the black and white blocks. So in between these two here is what we get our pattern. And it's pretty amazing, right? What we can do with it. It's just overlaid stitches. This is overlay Tunisian mosaic crochet. So we're just overlaying our stitches. We're making stitches on top of stitches that were in the previous row. So if you turn it around, this is how it's looking at the back. This is what you should expect. And here, if you look at this, so the yarn on the back is nicely interlocked, the yarn that's carried. So you don't have to do anything about that. And you'll not even notice it in some projects. This yarn, you're able to see it, but I have made projects where this is completely invisible, like it sort of blends in with the edge. So just going over some things here quickly. Um, you have this marks the number of stitches, so 19 stitches. This marks the number of rows, so 17 rows, but there will be an additional bind off row after this, which is not really a part of the pattern, but it is very much a part of a Tunisian mosaic project to complete the project. So you'd use the same color as this last row and create a slip stitch bind off. You have these two vertical columns here, they just indicate which color you need to make your row with. It's just to highlight that you do not have to change color. You're just working with this one color, which you've written down over here. Um, and you just pick this color and work with it and forget about any color changes. All you need to look at is what symbol is in what block. So there is this block which has none, which means it's a simple stitch, and there's this block which has an X, which is an extended simple stitch. That's pretty much all there is that you need to know to make a Tunisian crochet mosaic project.
If you'd like the chart that I've used in this video, it is this chart is a part of a 4 coaster pattern. This is a coaster pattern, and I have a 4 coaster pattern which I've written up, and it is not available for sale or on my blog right now. It will be available later in the year, but as of now, it is only available as a part of a mosaic crochet course that I offer. It is a beginner's Tunisian mosaic crochet course where you can learn how to do Tunisian mosaic crochet in detail. It is a structured course that goes over every little detail of Tunisian mosaic crochet. It has modules, and every module ends with an assignment, and you'd have an actionable goal. Before you move on to the next module, you will learn how to read written patterns and charts. I cover both overlay and inset style of mosaic crocheting with Tunisian crochet, and I have included how to add X's and O's to charts for people who would like to make projects out of charts that do not indicate any extended stitches on them. And there is a free printable version of all the patterns and charts mentioned in the course, so you will get a PDF version of everything that I've used in the chart in the course. And there are 2 free mosaic crochet patterns that I've included in it. There's a pillow pattern, and there is the set of 4 coasters. So I'm going to include a link to the course in the description below. Please feel free to check it out. But if you'd rather wait, the pattern for that I've used in this video is going to be released as a part of a set of 4 coasters later. It will be available for purchase standalone later in the year. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll see you in my other videos. Bye-bye.